So today I want to talk to you a little bit about injuries. Now, over the years in martial arts, I have injured myself a lot. And I sort of imagine most people you speak to will have the same tale if they've been training long enough. Now, I have broken my feet, I have broken my hands, I have broken my nose, I've broken my toes. Go up and down the body, I'm pretty sure there's something that I've damaged. Now, I've also torn ligaments, I've also torn cartilage, I've also popped my rib. I've had a lot of injuries over the time, and the worst one I think of all was when I spasmed my back, and that put me out of action for quite a long time. But what I want to talk to you about with that is how you go about dealing with injuries and training around injuries. Now, my advice when I was 20 would not be the same advice I give you today, and I will give you the advice today that I think is the best thing to do, not the advice I probably would have given when I was young and silly. Now, when you're young and you do get injured, obviously you're a lot more resilient, you can push through a lot more. You tend to be a lot more stubborn, and also you tend to recover quicker, so injuries don't tend to take as much time. But the problem is, sometimes we neglect them and sometimes we push through things that we shouldn't. So, number one, depending what the injury is. If it's a severe injury or it's something that is causing you a lot of problems, I suggest that you definitely get it checked out. Either get an x-ray, go to the doctor, go to a physio, go to an osteopath, go to somebody that can give you an expert advice on what to do with the injury. Now, this is what I try and do now rather than just be my own doctor or just Google it, because I don't want to be making things worse. Second of all, rest if you have to. In the long term, a couple of weeks off training is going to make no difference to your progress. It's going to make no difference to how you perform in the long run. All it's going to do is get you better. When I was young, my mindset was I need to keep training. If I don't train, I'm going to get worse, or I'm not going to get better, or somebody's going to be better than me. But I think sometimes doing this made injuries last longer, and sometimes doing this made injuries maybe reoccur or even cause new injuries. So the biggest thing I would say is rest if you have to. A 4 weeks off training in the grand scheme of things in your life, if you're going to plan on training for the rest of your life, is nothing. Now, if that's to keep you training and then keep you going, those couple of weeks don't matter. So take time off if you need it. The next bit of advice I would have is, if you can train, work around it. Obviously, don't injure yourself again, but if you've got a hand injury, you can still go on like an exercise bike, you can still get moving, because again, training does have obviously the mental side of it that does boost us mentally and give us the good endorphins. A lot of us don't just train to be physically fit and look physically good, we train to feel mentally good. So if training is something that you need in your day-to-day, try and work around the injuries. Don't force your way through them, but it's like, for instance, this morning, I've got quite a bad foot at the moment after injuring it, so I went swimming. I just did breaststroke with my upper body without using my legs, and I got a very good workout out of it. So I could work around the injury while still resting the injured part of me. Whereas a younger me would have probably gone in the gym and still done a load of bag rounds and tried to do a load of weights and been in a lot of pain and probably had quite a rubbish workout session, and then probably been out for a lot longer. So there's my big advice when it comes to injuries. Get them checked out. Rest if you have to, and work around them sensibly. Obviously, if injuries keep reoccurring, they can cause problems in the future, and they can start causing, obviously, reoccurring issues that can spread. Now, as frustrating as it is, you will not go backwards in your training. As frustrating as it is sometimes to slow down or stop, it will not affect you in the long run. I promise you that. I've had times where I've had to take time off and it's made no difference. But I wish I did take time off on the things that I didn't, because I know that has now either caused a reoccurring injury or it kept me off longer and I trained rubbish for longer. I would much rather have 3 weeks off and then be able to train full pelt again than have 6 weeks of like rubbish training where you're just struggling through it to just in your head think that you've trained. So that's how I would go about injury.